Escape plans, wet underwear, and secrets the world was never ready to see? Welcome to the Luigi Mangione Pretrial Chronicles, the day packed with legal chess, strange discoveries, and one absolutely priceless moment of body cam awkwardness. Buckle up. Day 4 in the Luigi Mangione saga was like watching a real-life crime drama unfold, but with a whole lot of legal grind that most people totally skimmed. Luigi Mangione, accused of assassinating a top-tier health insurance CEO, walks in full-on smiles and even creates a pose, fist-pumping like he's about to drop the mic. But suddenly it's not so much a hearing as a thriller unfolding in high definition. Here's the lowdown on day 4. The first witness of the day on Monday, December 8, 2025, was Blair County, Pennsylvania ADA Nicole Smith. Smith described getting a call from the Altoona Police Department when they had Luigi Mangione at the McDonald's and how he gave a fake ID. Smith explained that both she and DA Peter Weeks advised them of the charges that should be brought against Mangione. At that time, she also described signing off on 2 search warrants that would allow Altoona to transfer all non-contraband evidence to the NYPD, meaning all other items on Mangione's person besides the gun, silencer, and false ID. The defense chose not to cross-examine. Karen Agnifilo stood up and objected to the state's characterization of Mangione possessing a manifesto and also calling the shooting an execution, as they referred to both throughout the duration of the morning. Judge Cotto ignored KFA's objection and said it's fine for the suppression hearing as it has no effect on him, but it will not happen at trial. And what else the court saw on day 4? They called the second witness for the day, Officer Christy Wasser, a 19-year Altoona PD veteran, the officer who conducted the actual search of the backpack. Wasser also testified on the morning of December 9th, 2024. She overheard dispatch radioing the first responding officers, Fox and Detweiler, about the possible sighting of the New York CEO shooter at the McDonald's. Although she was not initially called to the scene, she said after phoning Detweiler around 9:35 a.m. and hearing him oddly remark that he was a little busy, she decided to head there to see what was up. On day 4, the court watched body cam footage of Officer Wasser putting on gloves after Luigi Mangione was detained and arrested and began the search of his backpack. While watching multiple angles, Wasser first pulled out a hoagie in a container, the Italiano bread, and eventually found a loaded magazine wrapped in wet underwear. She informed her fellow officers that she would also be conducting a searching for a bomb in the backpack, as her concerns were now heightened. Another officer can be overheard in the background asking about a warrant because of the severity of the case. However, it is reportedly overruled due to the state of Pennsylvania's search and seizure laws. Luigi Mangione was escorted out of McDonald's in custody, while Wasser continued to search the backpack. It was not until Officer Wasser arrived at intake at the Altoona PD that she discovered the handgun in a side zip pocket, followed by a silencer. Wasser was escorted out of intake upon finding a weapon for safety reasons, as Luigi Mangione was literally only 4 feet from her. And then the search continued in the hallway. Inside Luigi's backpack, there were a bunch of stunning discoveries. A 9mm handgun allegedly matching the murder weapon. A notebook with premeditation vibes showing disdain for health insurers and detailed plans targeting a CEO. And then there's a ghost gun, a silencer, a 9mm handgun, a loaded magazine with ammo wrapped in wet underwear, a phone sealed in a Faraday bag, SIM cards, a knife, maps, cash, and perhaps most chilling of all, a notebook. Or the manifesto. Prosecutors say it reads like an ideologue prepping a hit. This red notebook apparently is advanced by prosecutors as evidence of motive and planning secret plans, escape routes, surveillance, evasion tactics. They even found a bus ticket under an alias. You know a court hearing is going off the rails when one of the most talked about pieces of evidence is a loaded magazine wrapped in wet underwear. Oh, and by the way, Officer Wasser also found a laptop, small black wired headphones, a SanDisk, blue digital camera, pocket knife, zip ties, tools, hard drives or computer chips, a to-do list with route maps, escape plans, scribbles, and other handwritten map of Pittsburgh. What about body cam drama? Altoona police officers debating on camera whether they probably needed a warrant, then continuing anyway under the claim of checking for bombs. The defense calls it a spurious bomb panic excuse, trying to boost their claim the search was unconstitutional. Prosecutors maintain officers acted within protocol and note that a judge later signed a warrant authorizing the search a few hours after the bag was searched, which prosecutors say legitimizes turning the evidence over to the New York detectives. This hearing is giving the public a preview of what may become one of the most sensational criminal trials in recent U.S. history, because between corporate assassination and ghost guns and political insurance industry rage and civil rights fights, it's got all the hooks. Imagine pulling a loaded magazine out of wet underwear. Yeah, it's that weird. Yet that totally real moment dropped in court on December 8th, 2025. And if you think that's all, go to Costco's ASAP and stock up on popcorn. A lot of people, including people in my own family circle, tend to gloss over the legal weight here. This is not about some random backpack. It is the smoking gun evidence that could lock in the prosecution's story if it survives suppression arguments. And then there's the statements and the Miranda. Timing is everything. Yes, Luigi was questioned before being formally read his rights. Defense says, nope, you cannot use those statements. But hold up. It's all about context. Luigi gave false information to the police, and officers were not being coercive, and Luigi Mangione was obviously trying to deceive them. Judges usually look at a totality of circumstances, and in this scenario, that might favor the prosecution, because Luigi Mangione's behavior shows consciousness of guilt. People mostly focused on, he looked nervous, he fidgeted, McDonald vibes. Those are all cute stuff. But that's just surface level. Most people, especially Luigi's superfans, ignored how the notebook, fake IDs, and methodical police work all tie together to prove intent and premeditation. I am literally still shocked every time someone slides into my DM saying that I should help Luigi by making content about his innocence. Aside from knowing about a gun and a silencer, plus a loaded magazine in his backpack, did you also know that Luigi carries a passport and a bunch of escape routes in little notes? He even wrote down the fact that the FBI is slower overnight. And here's where it gets spicy. The large amount of cash, of money that Luigi's carrying around. Almost $8,000 in cash. Yo! The prosecution is going to use that as called evidence of guilt, or consciousness of guilt, or fear of flight. That Luigi knew that he had committed a crime in New York, and that he was fleeing with all that cash. Many people also skip over the stakes for the judge, who has to weigh a bunch of nuanced facts to decide what the jury can even hear. This is a real courtroom chess match, not just drama. Day 4 gave the public a peek behind the scenes of a national manhunt ending in Altoona. Meticulous police procedure work and high-level stakes legal maneuvers over key evidence. If you get a chance to read the tea critically, this hearing shows a solid prosecution case backed by evidence, police strategy, and a suspect whose own behavior reinforces the charges. Day 4 shows the mesmerizing body cam moment that stole the show. Want to know a secret? Courts don't love suppressing evidence in high-level stake homicides cases unless misconduct is wildly obvious. And here there's ambiguity. There's a warrant signed later, there's a bomb threat justification, and there's a chain of custody that prosecutors say fills every gap. The defense has arguments, sure, but they don't have a slam dunk. They have a half-court shot while blindfolded. And then there's the notebook from hell. And inside the backpack, there's a handwritten notebook that prosecutors lovingly refer to as a manifesto. Inside the notebook, they find notes on the insurance industry, cryptic planning language, maps, surveillance-style instructions, sketches of escape routes, a scribbled check Pittsburgh red eyes, and the legendary train goes left map. This notebook reads like a mashup between blockbuster movies, John Wick, and A Beautiful Mind, plus an 8th grade geography project. Whether the notebook is proof of intent or ramblings of a restless mind is for the jury to decide, but its existence shapes the narrative before the jury is even sworn. Why Day 4 was so stunningly bombastic? Because this is not about the backpack. This is not about the wet underwear. This is about whether the defense can't cut out the heart of the prosecution's case even before the trial begins. Day 4 mattered because the body cam footage is pretty messy. The search justification is contested. The evidence is dramatic, which makes any suppression of it also dramatic. The stakes are astronomical. This is the kind of hearing that people fight to sit in on. It's chaotic, it's consequential, cinematic, and unpredictable. The 4 horsemen of maximum engagement. Remember, these hearings are unusually complicated because the arrest and search unfolded entirely under Pennsylvania law, while the prosecution is taking place in New York. The court must apply choice of law principles to determine which state's legal standards control. The judge has a very difficult choice ahead. And one question hung heavier than any piece of evidence. If this is what surfaced from one backpack, what else was Luigi keeping secret that we have not seen yet? The defense paints Luigi as nonviolent, courteous, calm, disarmingly polite. But every new detail slipping into the record suggests there may be far more beneath the composed exterior than anyone expected. Because if these are the first secrets spilling out, the maps, the cash, the notes, the meticulously crafted preparation, what else is waiting in the shadows of this case? Day 4 didn't just reveal evidence. It revealed the possibility that we've barely scratched the surface of who Luigi Mangione really is. That's the $6 million question.